Context matters. Why is this here? What is its purpose? And please, do not tell me to do anything without telling me first why. What's up everyone? I'm Fritzy, and this is Life's a Video Game. Warning, I spoil all of Tropical Freeze and parts of all the other Donkey Kong Country games. Look at this game. Why are you here? What is your goal? Okay, save the princess. Not that interesting, but considering it was released back in 1985, close to video games' infantile stages, this absolutely gets a pass. I mean, compared to this, where the only point is to knock the other dude out, this title will most likely hold your attention for a fair amount longer. Now look at this. What's the point of this game? Oh, to save the princess. I see. This game came out in 2012, so give or take there was about a 27-year difference on this to improve. In the span of 27 years, we went from games like this to games like that. And no, prettier graphics do not make for a better game. And hey, you can have interesting platforming challenges, but why would I want to spend my time going through this when I have the ability to go through the original? Yes, I understand that Super Mario Bros. 3 and World have somewhat similar motivations for Mario to save the day. Do I think these games are dull as well? No. From this to that, there was enough burst of creativity for the developers to have a tad shift in motivation for Mario to do what he does best. You know, jumping on enemies, jumping from platform to platform. In other words, you were playing a platforming game, a two-dimensional side-scrolling one at that. Please know, this is not a video about hating on Mario games. Actually, I quite enjoy them. They're easy to pick up, they have great tight controls, and the platforming challenges are quite engaging. Still, when I look at this game, I can't quite find the will or the why to play through it. I'm in love with the platforming genre of games. To me, it's almost this pure gaming experience. Typically, the controls are easy to understand, but the game itself is hard to master. They create this instant flow for me. If you don't know what I mean by flow, I'll place a link in the description, but it's essentially when the challenge you are facing and the skill you have are both high. You become fully engaged with what you are doing. It's those points that you forget time itself, you forget to eat or even sleep. It's apparently how this dude managed to do something like this. Very much, it's a fantastic state to be in. This flowchart only really talks about combination of challenge and skill, but I would say you also need a reason to do what you're doing in the first place. For me, if I don't have a reason to move forward, then I'm just simply following orders. At that point, I tend to stay in these two realms, apathy and boredom. In life, I've always needed a reason for things. The statement, well, that is just the way things are, is complete BS to me. It's lazy and it's a cop-out. So are statements like, when asked to do something by an authority figure, you ask, how come? Or why? And you get, because I said so. Now, be honest with yourself. When you hear statements like these above, do you get warm, fuzzy feelings? Are you now excited to do what you have been asked to do? Do you now have a deep respect for the one who has said such things to you? Of course you don't. Why would you? You were asked to be a robot and obey commands. Sure, that's a bit heavy to be fair, but what about when you're in a store and some employee is trying to sell to you? The employee is just talking about the details of the product but not actually personalizing it to you. Are you honestly going to purchase it? My guess is no. as you'll probably be skeptical and think either this employee is trying to get commission off me, or their boss has just told them to do so. Either way, they're just trying to make a buck. They don't even give a damn about me. So I'm just gonna walk out. I remember being a young lad and my parents would call me over. I'd often ask why or how come. And after a while, I'm pretty sure they got pissed off with me. I guess they really needed me to come over super fast because they didn't have time to explain things. And I guess fair enough. If a kid asks why 30 times a day, that might get annoying. Still, that didn't change the fact that I needed a reason. So one day they finally get fed up and they start telling me stuff about the military. They said, in war, on the battlefield, if the commander asks you to duck your head and you say, why? Well then the enemy will shoot at you, and then your head gets blown off. Wow! At this stage, I had not yet quite been exposed to violent movies and such, so I wasn't sure what that looked like, but I could imagine it fairly well. From then on, at least for the next few years, I had full reason to respond immediately to my parents in fear that one day I could possibly get my head blown to bits. Us humans, we need reasons for everything. So what is a good 2D platformer? Something that will inspire me, something that will give me a reason to finish the game, all the way to the end. In my previous video on the original Donkey Kong Country, I joked about the villain's motivation. The antagonist K. Rool steals all of the bananas. The idea just seems kind of dumb. So even though the game is fun and once upon a time pretty to look at, it's not nearly as memorable as the second entry, DKC 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. This time around, DK has been kidnapped by K. Rool, so you now play as Diddy Kong and you now have to save him. And hey, that's a great reason for me to get out of bed in the morning. Like, your best friend in the whole world has been taken away from you. Yeah, go save him. Like right now. Yes, there are some nonsensical plot elements in the game, like you as DK get your bananas back by beating K. Rool down. You being the big strong ape and all. But then later you get kidnapped by the one who you defeated? I guess they could have tricked him or something. I don't know, it's just kind of silly. Still, this has a way better reason to play through it than to just get your bananas back. Why do you even need to get them back? Just pick them in the wild. Gee. Now we get to the newest iteration of the series, Tropical Freeze. The plot again is still quite simple, as most 2D platformers should be. You're sitting with your family eating cake, and that's nice. Even this old bearded guy here is being a proper part of the family. Then, dramatic music. We are being attacked by snow animals. Like the ones from the North Pole? South Pole? Both poles? Whatever. This grumpy dude blows his big horn and BAM! You get booted out of your lovely little island and it becomes frozen over with the power of the Viking horn. Ooh, and I think to myself, what shall I do today? What shall I do? And seconds later, I magically lose my home because someone steals it and then transforms it by turning it into a freezing hell. Well, I'm gonna do something about it. I'm gonna start a new adventure by jumping on their heads. I really do believe the whole act of jumping on one's head is truly the best form of action when one needs to get stuff done. After being thrown from your island, you land in World 1, Lost Mangroves. There's a bunch of smashed up planes, kind of like how you're all smashed up now. The first 3 levels introduces you to all your character buddies, one at a time, which is reasonable, one would assume, if you and your friends get blasted in a blasty sort of motion. One would expect to land in random spots throughout the world. First off is Diddy Kong, which is great and familiar to gamers who have played the original trilogy. He has a rocket pack on his back, which makes me think he's quite a bit more intelligent than DK. This might explain how DK got caught in DKC 2. Diddy is the smart one. Yeah, I'll go with that. Next, you find Dixie Kong, who can spin her ponytail and will cause her to temporarily float.
Wait, what?
I don't understand myself. She just does it, and it's nice. I die less, and I don't care for dying. She also is introduced back in DKC2 as Diddy's side partner. Next, you actually get to play as Cranky Kong. He's quite the grumpy old man in the original trilogy. He's kind of like the patriarch of the family, if you will. And he's actually truly helpful in this game. He has this pogo bouncing ability, which totally reminds me of this little NES game. Scrooge McDuck. Scrooge McDuck has a money vault. Cranky plays like Scrooge McDuck. This might explain the purpose behind the banana horde. Though, still, don't bananas rot? Within this world, you learn all the basics that you need to know for finishing the game. Running, jumping, etc. And by looking at the world, you can tell that these Vikings have already established their rule over this place. If we take a look at the intro and the game's first boss, it's all simply a show of dominance. I guess some folks just live to conquer. When we look back again to the original DKC and compare it to its sequel, you can notice quite the difference in how the bosses are presented. First you fight a beaver, later this bird, and then later an ugly giant bee. But you don't really get to understand the context of what they're doing, or why they are helping K. Rool in the first place. They're just big, and bounce, and make dumb noises when you jump on their heads. Now let's look at Diddy's Conquest. Your first boss of the game is Crow, and you fittingly get to fight him at the highest point of K. Rool's ship. Another boss that I found particularly interesting was King Zing, another ugly bee-like creature. Before you fight him, you have a few levels where you're actually working your way through a beehive. You get stuck to the honey-covered walls, and these levels give you context on why zingers throughout the game are attacking you in the first place. Their home is literally on K. Rool's island. Well, busting your way through the level just before you fight King Zinger, you have this moment here. You get this whole chase sequence building up tension just before you face off with him. No wonder why you get chased and have to battle him. You're knocking down his territory. We get to the second world in Tropical Freeze. You get to this island that's covered in forests, and there's this owl-shaped mountain towards the back. As you go through the world, you'll notice that this place has its own culture of owls. You can see all these owl houses in the background, and if you check out this level, the owls are playing background music that acts as platforming challenges for DK to overcome. Then we look back at DKC1, and the levels do have some sense of connectivity. But you also get hanging ropes from seemingly nowhere. You even have platforming barrels that exist just in space. So much of this world seems to be deeply connected to the platforming challenges you were trying to overcome in the first place. We look at World 3, Bright Savannah, and parts of this world seem to be telling us a story. Just listen and pay attention to the first level. I feel like I've entered a welcoming party. The trees are dancing in excitement. They seem thrilled that I'm here to save the day. As you press forward into the savannah, you'll hit a storm with nasty whirlwinds and lightning bolts, marking for a huge disaster for the area. At around the end point of the level, you and everything else get swept up into a full-on tornado, the Wizard of Oz style. The level leaves you in this aftermath of the storm where now the savannah is engulfed in flames. Ropes that you've typically swung from are now on fire. Some of the ground becomes like hot coal, and even some of the enemies are all fired up. It's kind of tragic. You start this area off with a celebration, but end off with devastation. You get all this because the developers cared enough to put purpose and attention to detail while crafting this game. area called Juicy Jungle is, in my opinion, the peak of creativity in game design concerning this franchise. You start by playing through a level that's in a thick jungle setting. You can see all these mechanical devices picking fruit. Level 2 brings you through a river of juice, yet the river seems to be man-made. Viking-made? Not natural. The river and the fruit that you see in the air is all being directed towards a factory that's chopping up all these lovely fruits. Partway through, you start getting harassed by a penguin Viking in a mech suit, trying to keep you out. What are they up to? Why does it want to stop me? Finally, when you get past the mech suit, the penguin gets thrown back and gets eaten up by a piranha plant. Kind of a fun touch. Level 3. You're now deep within the factory and you're being attacked by the little piranha plants. Some of the floating platforms you're jumping on are created by fruits being sliced up and then being shot up into the air. Like, check out this end part here. It's complicated in terms of platforming, yet it makes sense within the context of the world and what's happening in the level. Further on in this world, you'll see that the juice has now become more like Jello, where Donkey Kong can use it to bounce to greater heights. Then finally, you're in a freezer type situation, where you now have popsicles to platform off of. Yes, the fruit was first picked, then sliced, then juiced, then turned into Jello, and then finally freezing it into a popsicle. You get to the boss of this world, a polar bear, and you accidentally knock a popsicle out of his paws, and now he's pissed off and ready to fight you. Yes, that's why you're fighting him. Perfect. The ice mechanics also create a new challenge, as you'll be slipping and sliding everywhere, but that's okay, as you'll need to prepare yourself for a full world of ice and snow. Your home world. DK Island is now fully covered in ice. If you've ever played the previous Donkey Kong Country Returns, or even the original, you can see the full extent of what's happened to your island. This last world will test your skills, and the music propels you forward, making you feel like there's no backing down now. No matter how hard the challenges might be, you have to get your home back. Side note, while I was playing through DKC Returns, I noticed this cutscene. Looks like the bananas have some magical powers. Okay, fine, I'll buy the whole motivation for stealing bananas now. I mean, I guess the bananas are flying up in the air. At the end of the day, I don't want to play through a game just because of its namesake. If the motivation is weak and the world looks flat, then why spend the money to purchase it? Why would I want to waste my time spending hours playing through something that was perfected over 20 years ago? Give me a reason to move forward. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze does exactly that. Hey, thanks for making it to the end. I managed to insult one franchise and compliment another, all from the same game company. I don't hate or love Nintendo. I just like good video games. And if you like this video, then please subscribe, share, and like it below. Also, I'd love for you to leave a comment. If you've liked this video or had issues with it, then let me know why. But for now, please have a wonderful day. Peace.